So I just start with, we have a distinguished panel of practitioners. We have a distinguished panel of experienced implementers or solution providers. I'd like to start with starting with Mr. Ram Muivah, Secretary, Northeastern Council, Government of India. In one or two words or one or two sentences, can you describe, what are the challenges, what you, as developed states, what we normally take as, and what you, as, a state in the northeastern states really face?
No, can I come there?
You can speak from there. You can take the mic. Yeah.
No, actually, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, esteemed panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me just thank you for recognizing NEC and for the award that you have given me this afternoon. I also like to actually compliment, the Indian Express Group once again for this very lovely program, because I am one person who firmly believe in IT. I was lucky when I joined this IS in 1985. We were the first IS group to be taught computer in 1985. If you look back, Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister then, and we were told that he was the first Indian to have laptop. And Mr. Chidambaram was the MOS personnel. He come down to academy very often, and we were taught for 1 year the computer. Then later on, I learned a little bit more in the NIC, NICNET, Hyderabad. Then later on in the NIIT, South Extension. Then also NIC in Delhi. So for the last 30 years, I have been using computer. And my, the belief is further inspired by the success stories of so many living legends. Starting with Sabir Bhatia, Naren Murthy, in China, Jack Ma, And when I joined this NEC in the past 3 years, I introduced, now we have this, we have now completely the payment is online. And we have now e-office. It is all e-office. I also introduced the biometric attendance. These are some of the things that I'm doing in NEC. Because I'm a strong believer that IT, using this, technology, is actually the solution to check some of the corruption in the government also, actually. I firmly believe. So these are a few things that I firmly believe. If you give me more time, I would like to share how I was inspired.
Okay, I'll come to that, sir. We
yeah.
really have short time for this panel. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. Probably we'll have more time to discuss. Today's is short.
Maybe I'll share more,
Sure.
how I was inspired, to, this in IT. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sorry, sir. So I'd like to come to Mr. K.D. Vizo, Commissioner and Secretary IT, Government of Nagaland. If you can share in your own view some of the top IT initiatives what your state has undertaken, sir.
Esteemed panelists and friends, at the outset, I thank the Indian Express and Government of Assam for bringing a very vital conference here. I'm Commissioner and Secretary IT and also in charge of power for the Government of Nagaland. My experience in Nagaland is that till now, there's a lot of gap between the mainland and northeastern region. The way the mainland thinks and the way the northeastern thinks, there's a lot of gap. And I think it's high time that the northeastern people should start thinking and acting on what is good for them. We should not rely on what is planned at Delhi. We should plan our own thing. For instance, we have a data center. We are the only state in India to be running by ourselves. When the company who was running the data center collapsed due to financial problems, they are unable to pay EPF, they are unable to pay income tax. We tried to take over. That time, the Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology, they never believed that Nagaland can handle a data center. To be frank, a big state like Assam still doesn't have a data center. in a remote area like Nagaland, we are running our own data center. Likewise, we have taken over the statewide area network. We have implemented the first National Information Infrastructure Pilot Project in India on commission on 6th June. The country never believed. We have introduced for the first time the concept of wireless ring. We talk of optical fiber ring, but wireless ring is now functioning in Nagaland.
Fantastic.
We are bringing a resource person from abroad to enlighten our people. We have adopted e-tendering as a mandatory thing in the state. We have created a website for all the government departments hosted in the state data center. All the government departments have Facebook, Twitter, and recently we have made all the government departments Aadhaar-based biometric enabled systems. These are all local solutions. We have high-end. We are thinking of bringing enterprise architecture in coordination with the e-governance academy of Estonia. And now, to enlighten our people, our next attempt is to create a citizen-centric service act where citizens can claim their right for services. For that, we are bringing resource person from United Nations University on 30th November. And you will be surprised that for cybersecurity, experts are coming all the way from North Atlantic Treaty Organization on 30th September. And our aim is to sensitize the young people, the bureaucracy, the politicians. What we are trying to do is creating a culture which is acceptable to the technologies of our times. So I feel that all the Northeast regions should think in the same line. It's time we should think what is good for ourselves and act. Otherwise, we'll miss the bus of this so-called fourth industrial revolution. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think he surely deserves a lot of claps because, like I said, what we take for granted in the developed states, it's a monumental effort, in the northeastern regions. Ms. Changsan, if I can have your view also. Yeah.
Thank you. Respected moderator and esteemed co-panelists. I'm here on behalf of Government of Assam, but particularly representing Home and Political Department. So unlike my co-panelist here who's just given a broad picture about the IT, our Assam IT Secretary, I think he's expected soon. But I can just give a broad overview that in Assam too, having worked in different capacities, yes, we have indeed made a lot of strides in IT and e-governance, though we've had some hiccups along the way, particularly in relation to connectivity. I can tell you that at the outset that the aim of the government is to ultimately ensure that digital connectivity reaches to each and every household. Just like we are thinking about electricity and water, so also every person cutting across all areas, interior, rural, everywhere, ultimately the vision would be that they would have access to digital connectivity and all the whatever information technology brings. To a large extent, we have also gone for a lot of e-governance, particularly in recent times in finance. Now you'd be glad to know that all our sanctions, ceilings, these are all on online system, which has speeded up our processing time. Then, apart from all the central sponsor schemes, wherever we have this, we have the PFMS system, which is working, and that's also been making sure that there is more accountability amongst all. In education sector, I can just tell you because I was a little associated with that, we had this major initiative of mapping, of GIS mapping of over 1 lakh schools, both elementary, LP, ME schools and high schools and higher secondary schools, with, which we linked with the school education survey. And so at a click, we were able to know which what kind of infrastructure, what kind of requirement, lacunae is there. And for the human resource part, we had even introduced a system where our cluster resource coordinators who were meant to supervise the working of the teachers, they were armed with tablets. We had a software design whereby on the spot, they could go to the schools and monitor whether a teacher is present, how many students, different categories, who's present, which midday meal school, which school has missed out midday meal, where it's been served, how many have availed. So it all made for a very exciting and more inclusive kind of ecosystem. And also making sure that there is more accountability. But of course, again, I must iterate that we still have issues with connectivity in most areas. So real-time data, real-time information, that is still a big challenge. Now, coming to home, I'd be happy to share in our Assam police, the CCTNS. I think all of you are quite aware of that. This crime and criminal network tracking system, where Assam is one of the leading states, I'm proud to say. And in this, we are in the process of digitizing all FIRs. We are only short of online FIR registration, which is pending amendment of the law. And apart from that, we are offering 11 citizen-centric services. I think where it comes to IT, where it comes to governance, IT in governance, public service delivery is what is important for the citizen, for the government. And things like passport verification, and then your employee verification, PRC verification. So things like this have been working very well. In fact, Assam was the first state. In 2017, we had started this passport online police verification system. And now complaints are also being received online, and they are being acted upon, and there's a provision to provide the digitized FIR copy to the citizen. In fact, we are in the process of linking up CCTNS with the ICJS system, the Integrated Criminal Justice System, where the prisons, the courts, and the forensic laboratory and prosecution is being linked up with the police stations. And this is expected to give a much speedier criminal justice delivery. Missing persons, kidnapped persons, tracking missing child, tracking stolen vehicles, sharing of criminal database. All this is happening quietly already in our state. One thing is, I think there's much more awareness that's required so that people get more, they avail of these services which are there. For that, which I'll be asking our colleague also, our ADGP, to share with certain initiatives that we are doing through the Assam Police. Thank you.
Sure. So before I come to him, probably there's some, one learning is, probably Assam or other states also can lead with, can be a leader rather than being laggard. So for example, while India has been, we have been lucky to leapfrog certain technologies. So Assam and other states, the one example what you gave about digitized FIR copies, for example, probably none of the other states, the leading states are also doing it. So it's credit to, states in the Northeast also to take some leadership initiatives like this and probably play a pioneer in showing other states also in the rest part of the India. Before I come to the, to a DGP, I have some question. I mean, there are some specialist solution providers here. You have heard of the challenges, you have heard about the infrastructure point. Anybody of you can take this question. I can start with you or I can start from here. What do you think if you can sum up from an opportunity point of view, are there things which can be implemented fast? Do you see, like for example, cloud, analytics, big data? What kind of opportunity do you see? If I can start from you, sir.
Hi, good evening to all. My name is Amit Bansal. I represent HP. specific to the question in terms of the big data or anything which is related to the data that we have today. Today any government effectiveness is the way they have implemented technology. There was a World Bank ranking where India has been ranked 57th out of a scale of 100 in terms of their effectiveness in smart governance. When it comes to a correlation, I'll give us a very simple example. Today we see a lot of smart cities coming in. There are a lot of data sources which is actually coming and correlated, getting into the data center. Say, for example, if I have to correlate between data which is coming from a sewage system and a data which is coming from a health center system. So how we can correlate what are the type of diseases, what are the type of medical or disease exigency that would be coming forward because of the sewage. So those two data sets are currently not interrelated. So how we can, through an artificial intelligence, through a policy rule engine, those two databases can be correlated and a meaningful output can be given to the public health centers to get ready for that exigency which would break down in the times to come. Say, for example, today we talk a lot about Swachh Bharat. We talk about lot of disease which is because of the mosquitoes, which is due to the water stagnation that happens. Data that can be collected from, say, for example, drones, where the water has been collated, can be fed back into the analytic engine and can be given back to the respective departments who can go and clean up, or who can go and work with the medical facilities to ensure that those particular medicines are there in place whenever that disease or that breakout thing happens. So all this is possible when there is a structured format of the policy that has been laid out. Technology is just an enabler. When I say technology, it can do whatever the policy and the business strategies that we define. It is just how we can collaborate. It is like it's a system where we have to coexist together with the policies of the government and with the technology, and technology plays like us. We collaborate and deliver those services.
Sure. So just to add to what you just said, the state of Arunachal Pradesh has installed sensors in all its garbage. I mean, the example of Swachh Bharat, what you just gave, which helps in ensuring that the vehicles reach the right place at the right time. Yep. Just sharing an example.
Yeah. So that is as for this a solid waste management system, that possibility of cleaning the garbage and understanding where the the bins are being filled and getting it cleaned at the right time. If I was going a step further, because I would have a data set of, say, for example, or a slum area, not maybe relevant to the city that we are here, but many cities, there are slum areas. In terms of the data of the public, all the health records that is being captured there, and how the garbage is being collected, and disease outbreak can happen. If we can do a correlation there, so the effective delivery of services can be enhanced.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share the dais with the esteemed panel, distinguished guests, and everyone. While I'm hearing a lot about data, and everyone shared their views around the kind of data that is being generated, it is also important to, and my friend here has shared very good insights about the kind of stuff with regards to the smart cities engagement. A lot of this stems from a certain disruption. Today, we need to also appreciate where is this coming from, and that is actually coming from a change in mindset. Over the past few decades, we have kind of seen that we have always evolved in a way that everything for us was prohibited unless it was allowed. That was a mindset where all of us were growing up. Whereas if you look at the generation today and the citizens, they are kind of growing up with a mindset that everything is permitted unless it is prohibited. So that is a change in mindset, where it all has led to the digitization, to the digital journey of the e-governance and all of that. I think that is the crux as to what kind of insights we can throw, we can push to the citizens, make them more empowered, make them more aware about the situation, and hence the kind of data that is being generated. Now, that is a perspective, and if we look at the kind of enormous data which is being generated, whether it is structured, unstructured, digital, or video files, images, all of that eventually has to be brought together and create some meaningful insights out of it, whether we talk about some waste management or energy forecasting, things related to agriculture, or various kind of use cases. So I treat all of them as use cases. I'm happy to say that I've built up my career in analytics, and which is where I come up with the background of working with SAS as an organization. We've been doing phenomenal work and building up some IPs. We are working closely with states like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, in kind of creating some citizen-centric approaches. We are building up the Chief Minister's dashboard for Maharashtra, which is in process, whereas other states are also using it. There are always new ideas which the learned gentlemen from the bureaucracy, the IS officers bring to the table, that they want to do a lot more. That technology today, and one of my friends very well said that it's just an enabler. So while that is just an enabler, how well we can leverage it. So that brings another perspective of how well we can involve people in leveraging that technology. So I've got some thoughts around that, and probably I'll leave the dais or panel with those thoughts on the table.
Sure. So I'll come to now Ms. Karishma, and yeah. So for Ms. Karishma, sorry, I interrupted you. Specifically with respect to cloud, I mean, you've seen how Northeast is and the region is, can you share some insights on how the cloud could be beneficial for, states in the Northeast?
Sure. Am I audible? It's written old here, so I don't know if it's working well. Esteemed panelists and good evening, audience again. So very quickly, taking the cue from what you were just saying about mindset change, and we're talking about artificial intelligence. What are we really looking at? We're looking at computers tomorrow doing what humans are doing today. So they listen, they speak, they tell us. We already have assistants, computer assistants talking to us. So the question really is that how do we make the entire system trustworthy? How do we make sure that artificial intelligence is responsible, it's trustworthy? Are there ethics? There are no biases. So if what was applicable to humans should be applicable to machines or artificial learning or artificial intelligence, when we say. So at Microsoft, we are really focused on, and we have come out with these principles of ethics, of AI for ethics, where we want to ensure that there is fairness, there are no biases. Suppose they're medical records or in education systems, there should be no bias. I mean, one person should be treated fairly as the other. Reliability and safety, which is at most important. When we're talking about automated cars coming out, how do we make sure that safety is put at front when we talk about automatic cars coming out? Privacy and security is another principle. Data is very important for AI. When we say everything that AI is doing, the data is fed in and then AI delivers results. So how do we make sure that the data of the customers who are trusting organizations like us is secure for them? And last but not least of the 4 principles is inclusivity, which I just talked recently in my presentation before. We want to make sure that inclusion is our top priority in AI. And all these 4 principles guided by the two broad themes, which are transparency and accountability. We hold ourselves accountable for everything in AI that comes out from us, or how other solution providers are bringing AI to the market. So I think everybody should be accountable for the solutions and services on artificial intelligence that comes out. And the roadmap or the journey should be transparent. We should know what we are talking and what we are bringing. And another important point, I just take a little bit of shift from AI now and talk about technology or what we are doing in India. So this actually came out from our own Microsoft research in India. And sir, you were talking earlier about connectivity. So this is an application called Kaizala, which is just a chat app for business users or office users. And what it does is basically helps you connect with each other, share information, and it is a highly customizable application. And one of the important case studies that I can talk about, which is being used currently by the famous Narayana Healthcare, and you all may know Dr. Devi Shetty, he's qualified this himself. They are actually using a Kaizala app internally within the hospitals as electronic medical, in lieu of electronic medical records. When electronic medical records used to be just in isolation in one server, but this everything here in the application is in the cloud and shared with a panel of doctors who are involved in a certain case, and especially for the cases in ICU where they need special attention for the patient, and a delay of few minutes can be a question of life and death. So how did they tackle that with this simple application is that if a senior doctor is far sitting away in maybe United States or elsewhere, how quickly can the records reach them and they can quickly give their opinion so that the person who's lying on the ICU bed, his or her life can be saved. So this sort of application, which is cloud-based and a simple downloadable app on your phone, can act as a powerful tool today to connect and save people's lives. So that's...
Sure. Yeah, nice. So, Mr. Chandrashekar, specifically from Schneider point of view, energy savings and infrastructure specifically. Looking at the Northeast, obviously a huge hub for natural energy. Or how do you see infrastructure and the energy savings specifically? Do you think you can use the resources of this region in a better way? Can data centers be? For example, if I had to twist this question on the head, can the Northeast region become the data center hub of the world purely from a natural energy and a savings perspective?
Distinguished panelists and delegates, good evening, everybody. First of all, I'm, with respect to how Northeast can be a hub, I'm kind of inspired with the Digital India drive by our Honorable Prime Minister. Now, if you look at here, Northeast territory has been the focus point for the Digital India. And as we speak today, we have the likes of BSNL who works on the telecom connectivity across Northeast India. And today, I think this drive, as Madam rightly said, that digitally every house, like the way you have electricity and water, it should be digitally also available to every household or every place you go. Now, this drive is, today if you look at, there is about 50,000 hotspots which is being created across Northeast India. And as Schneider Electric today, if you look at, we are proudly associated with BSNL to provide the telco edge solution, where one could go into any parts of Northeast India. It is on the implemented stage. Hopefully, next one and a half years, this should be implemented. And this region, as you said, could be one of the major IT hubs, where anybody walks in to any of the location within Northeast India, one could digitally get connected. And we are doing close to about 10,000 hotspots with power continuity and edge single rack solution as Schneider Electric. Definitely it can be a major hub. Secondly, I think if you look at, the gentleman spoke about STPI, and I come from Bangalore. Early 80s and early 90s, we hardly had about 5 to 8 STPIs in Bangalore. And today, if you look at the boom which happened in Bangalore and which is now the Silicon Valley of India, I think those kind of investment is very, very critical. More SDC, state data center. We're doing a lot of work in West Bengal state data center. And as we speak, I think the Assam State Data Center also should come to light maybe shortly. We are working very closely to implement that. So these would help immensely in terms of e-governance and the plans which to go digital all the way. I think we have a huge opportunity here in Northeast India to make it digital.
Sure, thank you. Mrs. Saike, I have probably I know you heard all the panelists and, how do you really, one question what I had in mind.
Let me take this over because I think I'm the only person standing between the audience, my esteemed friends here.
No, sir, you're not the only person. You're not the only person.
And the power discussion, and finally dinner. So I just, we were talking about innovation, and now we're talking about how to improve governance. I'll just tell you one little story that happened with us in Assam Police, where we use technology, and maybe it'll leave you feeling slightly sad, but also put a smile on your face. Before that, let me just add to what our Principal Secretary, my esteemed colleague here said. CCTNS, 2 weeks ago, we won the award for the best citizens delivery services nationally. FICCI awards, Assam Police has set up the first smart protection unit. We got a FICCI award for that. And 2 days ago, our communications and technology organization went in and got an award for training and cryptography. So, people feel that while we are fighting with connectivity, while we are fighting to reach every household, we're also progressing on the other side. So let me just take you to this little story. One evening, it wasn't evening actually, it was late at night, at about 11:30, we got a call from Facebook in America saying that there is this minor girl child somewhere in your state who has just written on Facebook that she is going to commit suicide. We had no information. We said, do you have a number? They said no. Said, can you trace her IP? They said they are trying. We said, can you give us anything? They said, we can only give you a link to her profile. Anyway, we got the link to the profile. 45 minutes, friends. 45 minutes. Technology, some invasive, common, simple policing. 45 minutes. She was about 400 kilometers away from Guwahati in a village. We reached, we counseled the parents, we saved the child. And let me tell you, since then, possibly this has not happened anywhere else in the country. It came on national news and all. Since then, there have been 4 such cases. So technology and common policing put together, actually, I think we can make a difference and provide service delivery to the people. So I'll not talk about the other initiatives. I'll just name them. We are doing a very big, if I can use the term, is slightly sort of Don Quixote. We are coming up with a cyber facility which is investigation and intelligence, and it doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. Let's see how we succeed. So I think all your service providers here would be interested. So whichever of you wants to connect with us and show us your technology, our project director, Cyberdome, is here, Mr. Anurag Tankha. We'll get in touch with either him or me, and we'll take you through that. And we are coming up with an emergency response system. Everywhere there's the dial 100, dial 112, but what we are doing is we're going to have specific desks here also for women and children, and we are going to have anti-terrorism response teams. So we are going in for a smart response unit rather than just a kind of a, 100 को फोन करके वो बोलते हैं ना दिल्ली बम्बई में, वो अभी तक म्यूजिक बज रहा है यार बंद करा दो. तो हम सिर्फ म्यूजिक नहीं बंद कराएंगे, हम बहुत कुछ अच्छा भी करेंगे और बंद कराएंगे. Thanks.
So I think if you can share your story with the rest of the country, probably, through us or to anybody else, whenever we have more time, that would be wonderful. It prevents the reinventing of the wheel, and it's a learning for each one of us. Yeah. So thank you on the beautiful note. I really have time up, so I'll require just 1 or 2 sentences from each one of you on the opportunity, what you feel in Northeast region. I can start from, because I started with you, I'll start from this side now. Mr. Chandrashekar. Yeah, just 1 or 2 sentences before we close the session. Yeah.
The opportunities are huge here. In fact, it's a very raw kind of a place where the opportunities in terms of power continuity, the opportunities in terms of digital transformation, the opportunities in terms of monitor, control and analyze, huge opportunities I would see for us as Schneider Electric, and we are kind of geared up to manage the digital transformation happening in northeast part of the country.
I'll just sum it up in one line. I think technology, we all know, is an enabler, but we should think about, rather than just thinking that what technology can do, but what technology should do is very, very important for us.
As you said, enabler. So as I said in my earlier session, I know no technology. I'm a history graduate, and I left science and maths in class 9. So, I'm that dumb. So how can technology just help us live better? That's it. How can we provide services, and how can individually each one of us, and that's what we are doing in the Northeast. And I think, give us another couple of years and we'll be leading the country?
Why not?
Absolutely.
India means industrial revolution. But today, luckily, I think the IT revolution or evolution is happening in the country, especially in urban area, in the mainland. And this time, the youths are leading the charge. Now, I want this to happen in Northeast India. We have missed industrial revolution. We have missed green revolution. We must not miss this IT revolution. So it is my fond hope that, Northeast India should also not miss this IT revolution. Today, IT is not a choice. It is a necessity. If you're not into IT, you will always be left behind. Thank you.
When we talk about Northeast India, I think it would be good to keep in mind the larger picture that this whole region, Northeast region with its neighboring countries, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, and from there the connectivity to the remaining SAARC countries and Southeast Asia, it's a wonderful opportunity lying for all those who want to partner with all the states in the Northeast. And secondly, I would just like to state as a bottom line that here we really need to build up our foundations well. I think it was, I don't remember too well, but was it Bill Gates or who said that technology makes an efficient organization more efficient, but an inefficient organization that much more inefficient. So we have to be careful about that too. Thank you.
Yeah, to answer to your questions which you have been repeatedly asking on the opportunity, I think today we are in the knowledge economy, we are in the data economy, where anybody who has knowledge and data is considered as rich. So for Northeastern region, the biggest opportunity is creating authentic data. Whether it is crime and criminal tracking, where video analytics is involved, or whether it's in power, where smart metering, where again data analytics is involved. And for all other purposes, if you don't have a good metadata, however amount of data mining technology you bring, it's not going to work. So building authentic data is important. For the state of Nagaland, we are trying to build this enterprise architecture, where if a data is available in one department or in one district, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That same data can be used for other purposes. Because in the Northeastern region, if you see most of the states, even the number of villages counting, the revenue villages and non-revenue villages, the rural development data and the administration data are not matching. Forget about the population statistics.
Right.
So if Northeastern region wants to catch up with the rest of the world, we have to try to build authentic, good data so that artificial intelligence, whether you want to use in the cloud or for automatic driving or for anything, data is the biggest opportunity for Northeastern region if you want to catch up with the rest of the world.
That's a beautiful quote, sir. Yeah. Yes.
So I think we are at the conclusion remarks, but I've been hearing a lot through the day, and I've been sitting through the sessions, and I heard a lot about the challenges this region faces, especially. But let me congratulate all of you and all of you present here. I feel extremely happy to be here because I see a vast leapfrogging and kind of quantum jumps the state has taken in spite of those challenges in terms of technology, which sir has already highlighted, ADGP. And there are many other things. I'm sure there are a lot of learnings for all of us to cross-leverage where there are some innovations happening across various states could be brought in here. There's a lot of innovation happening in this state, which probably cross-leverage to other states as well. And I would be happy to be part of that game altogether. Thank you so much.
So I'll just take, in continuation to what my industry fellow friends talk about in the technology. As I said, technology is just an enabler. We are here to work in a cohesive manner so that we coexist and co-create solution which is required for this region.
Sure. Thank you. So I think we have run out of time, as you all can see. So I just request the panelists to pose for a group photograph. We are bringing an end to this panel discussion. There are a lot of insights shared, but 40 or 45 minutes probably is not the right quantum of time to capture this experience, this diverse experience, if I can say that.